and welcome to Crossroad Conversation. Our guest for today is a holistic life coach with a PhD who specializes in guiding busy professionals towards effortless work life harmony. She's a trainer, she's a speaker, she's a researcher, and a social sector expert passionate about social causes. On LinkedIn, she's a top interpersonal skills voice. She has been featured in the Lifestyle magazine for their Womanhood edition on Women's Day. She loves calling herself the catalyst. She is Dr. Reshma. Hello, Dr. Reshma. Welcome on my podcast.
Hello, Jennifer. It's really nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All my pleasure, Dr. Reshma. So let's get started with your social work. You've done a lot of social work. Could you tell us how and why you got into social work and how did you transition into coaching from there?
Sure. It was a very interesting story, Jennifer. I never knew about social work when I was a young girl. And my aunt was into social work. She used to be a program officer at the university, Bombay University. And she used to take me along, and I would tag along with her. And the way I used to see the youth working there, the NSS youth, I was like, okay, wow, this is really nice. But that still didn't click, okay, that I had to pursue it. Then one day, I remember there was a knock at the door. When my mom used to go to school, I used to be alone at home. And there was a knock at the door, and I went and opened the door. Of course, very scared that I don't know who it will be. I opened the door, and there was a person standing there with spools of wool. And he looked haggard, tired. And he told me that, can you buy them? I said, sorry, no one at home, no elder person at home. I'm the only one, so I'm not going to be able to buy it. He said, please, I haven't eaten from almost 2 days now, and I need the money, and I only have these wools that I can sell. I said, if you want, I can give you some food. So he said, no, I don't want food like that. I want to earn it. Okay. And I will only eat when I get these sold. Now I felt so bad that, he's not even accepting any food from me. I went inside. That young mind of mine just told me I needed to help him. I went inside, opened my piggy bank, emptied the piggy bank, bought the wool. I knew my mom is going to shout at me tremendously, but I took the risk. I went and I bought that wool. He was so thankful, and he just thanked me, blessed me, gave me the wool, took the money, and went away. And after that, something churned into me. Something really mattered, that how people can be. They just need the right support, the right guidance. And I think we can really make them, transform them, change them, right? So then I started thinking that if I want to work, I want to work with the people, for the people. And that is when I decided that I will be doing my social work. I did my bachelor's against all odds. I made my mom accept that I am going to go to the college there for my bachelor's because she wanted me to be a teacher. And yes, bachelor's, master's, and then PhD. I also worked with some great international agencies, worked with some NGOs. I had a great stint. So that was the thing that really attracted me to social work. And social work, not as people think social work, that just helping people. I wanted to transform people. I wanted to be one of the catalysts of change for them. And that's how I got into social work. And after that, my journey into coaching also has been interesting because as a social worker, I was very empathetic. We learned all the ethics and principles of social work match very much with the coaching industry. We talk about equity, we talk about diversity, and we do all that, sensitize people, try to bring about that transformation. So it was a very gradual, progression towards that because then I thought, now from working with the communities, I can work with individuals more closely. And counseling was something that I had really penchant for. and I had a degree for. So I said, why not get into coaching as well and do coaching? And that's how I progressed towards coaching.
That's very inspirational. So it's like you found your purpose in life quite early in age, and it all began with observing people around you. You picked that up from there. And if you could elaborate a little more about the kind of work that you do in the social sector, like you mentioned, it's not like the ones people think. It's about transforming them. So how do you do that?
Yeah. So it's very interesting, because what people think about social work when they hear that, okay, you've done your back. Social work. Oh, social work is something that, you just go help a person. But here we are talking about not helping the person, but we teach the person. It's like that whole saying about give him a fish, he'll eat for a day. But teach him to fish, he'll eat every day. So that's what we are trying to do here, create that impact, create that change, which is long term. So we've worked, like I have worked with communities, I have worked with communities on different subjects, say for education, livelihoods, health, right? And I've had some amazing experiences where things are concerned. People would just do things, that they had learned from somebody, and to change them to even something small like institutional deliveries, right? Bringing them to understanding the importance of institutional deliveries, bringing them to the importance of child sexual safety, right?
Right.
So I have worked very closely with uh, people trying to bring about that kind of a change. So we've worked with organizations like UNICEF, UN Habitat, and WHO, right? So I work with all of them with projects. So there, what we do is we have a project and we try to bring about a change that is sustainable, right? So after we go also, the work goes on and we create that leadership at the community level, right? So we are creating community based organizations, communities that are empowered to take on the work and bring about a change in their lives as well as lives of others.
Wonderful, wonderful work, Rishma. And since you've worked with such big organizations, CARE, WHO, UNICEF, so how has this influenced your approach towards that holistic life coaching that you work on now?
That has been very influential, Jennifer, because things I have learned with, it is like I said, not to teach. It's not about to give, but it's to teach them to be independent, to be able to take the right decisions. So even in coaching, it's not about making them dependent on you as a coach. It's about making them independent by giving them techniques, strategies that they can for lifelong follow and bring about the change. See, it's a very small thing. I'll just give you an anecdote, Jennifer. When you're sick, you need medicines.
Right.
Once you take the medicines, it's not that forever now you're never going to be sick, right? You may have a
Yeah.
different ailment altogether, or you may have a similar ailment which is reoccurring, right? But you know what you need to do now. So this is about being equipped with such techniques that will help you for lifelong. Once you adapt those techniques, inculcate those habits for you, which are really powerful, things will be on its place. So that's what I learned with working with such great organizations. I mean, I have learned to respect each and every one. So I have worked with communities which are staying in slums or are in the villages, and I have worked with professionals who are working at Infosys, who are working with Google, right? But I have learned how to be able to really link with their needs, connect with them. So communication is something very powerfully I've learned from these organizations.
And you've helped these people transform. You have not only changed their lives, I'm sure coaching has helped you change your own life as well. How has that happened?
Absolutely right. Coaching is not a one-way traffic. It's always two-way learning. There are many a times, believe me, I'm just confiding this year, that I have gone through certain things, and there has been a eureka moment when I've been coaching the other person. Oh God, this is something I need to focus on myself as well. Right? It is that. It's not that, I know it all. It's never that. As a coach, I think we all need to understand that it's never that we've known all. We need coaches too. We have our own issues too that we need to deal. And once we are dealing with the people, it's like, you learn, you teach. When you teach, you learn more.
Right.
It's absolutely the same thing, right? When you're coaching, you are also coaching yourself. Self coaching becomes a part of it, where you really get those eureka moments, you really get those realizations, those reflections are amazing, I would say. And that have really changed my life. I remember once I was dealing with a person who was having a problem in her married life. Okay. And I tried to talk to her about what are the things, how does she communicate, and how. So she had not realized there was this whole way of communication which was a little toxic, right? While talking, we realized, and I asked questions, and then suddenly it occurred to her, and then she started narrating, yes, this is the way she talks to her spouse, right? This is the way she's dealing with a partner. This is the way it's always, you. When she was telling this, I suddenly realized, Jennifer, that there have been moments when I have done the same. I have. And very unknowingly, involuntarily, but yes, there have been. And that could change. That can change. And that realization helped me understand my partner better, helped me understand her better, right? And with that, we both grew because we both tried to bring about that change.
A lot of times we speak a lot of things, we don't self introspect, but as you said, while we are coaching or speaking, even if we are not coaches, when we just give a lending ear to a friend and we discuss those things, those times also we go through similar things. When we are sharing something, we realize, okay, we have done it too, we can improve too. So thanks for sharing that. And I have seen some of your videos and some of things that you advocate, and you advocate for the art of saying no, right? So could you tell us a little more about this art? Why is it important? Why is it hard for people to say no? And how can they learn this art?
It's there, been there, done it, Jennifer. I have been a very submissive person since my childhood. There were things that happened in my life that really turned things around for me, okay, in the family. And I was so fearful of letting people go, I would never say no. I would never ever say no to them, even if I wanted to, even if it meant I had to walk an extra mile to be there. But I would go out of my way to just not be able to say no. I would trouble myself and not be able. I had no boundaries. And I kept on in that pattern, Jennifer. This was way before I became a coach. Even in my professional life, I had no boundaries. I would just not be able to say no. And I know what it did to me. It suppressed me. It made me submissive, more submissive, and it became a pattern where people started exploiting it. People started using me for their own benefits, for their own motives, and I would be left lying low whenever I needed something. And then suddenly one day I realized, what is it that is changing? What is it that is wrong, where it's becoming a pattern with every person I come across, whether it's professional, personal? And then I realized it was that I wasn't able to set my boundaries. I wasn't able to say no. It lowered my self esteem, my confidence, everything. Though I knew I was good, but it still lowered it. And then I realized that this is something not only me, many people are facing. I would not say only women, I would also say men, because I've had some men coming up to me and saying this was a problem. So there has always been this problem. And I felt that this is something, if you really want to bring that transformation within you, where you are able to really bubble out with that confidence, with that esteem, you need to work on yourself where you're able to say no and build that boundary around. I always felt saying no means hurting a person. I had to change that belief system. I would feel saying no means the person is going to leave me and go away. I had to change that belief system. Saying no is being kind. That's what we are, conditioned with. We've been told many a times, especially as women, right? You have to just give in. I remember in a village, I'll just tell a short story here, that in a village I went and there was a wedding going on, and an old lady came to this girl and she said, you're getting married today, you don't have to say no to anything. Whatever your partner says, whatever his mother says, his sister says, you are supposed to never say no. And I, at that time, realized, Jennifer, that this is where it came from, maybe for me also. And I didn't realize it. So I had to make that change and I had to help others, because there were many like me who wanted to get out of that pattern, that circle, that chakra view, I would say. It's a chakra view for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And
So,
how did you help yourself get out of it? I think I would say the first few instances would have been the toughest. So how did you deal with those emotions of saying no and then not feeling guilty? Or how did you go through those emotions of, all right, I'm doing it the right way. I should be fine. They should be fine.
right. It is a long drawn journey, Jennifer, of being able to not feel guilty. You know, it was with every time I would say no, I would feel so bad. And then I would be bashing myself up for saying no, right? So I hurt myself when I would not say no. And I started bashing myself when I started saying no initially.
Mm.
I would really literally feel so bad for the person. I would feel that I have said no. I would want to really, make things right, because the person might be angry, the person might feel bad about it. But then I think self compassion and self love was the thing that helped me. I started making myself a priority. I started telling myself, again, here I used self talk. I started telling myself that it is okay. It's not about being selfish. It's about being for you, standing up for you, advocating for you. And it's okay to do that. Because every time, nobody else is going to do that for you. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to keep yourself your own priority, because no one else will. And that's how self talk helped me. Self love and self compassion helped me come out of it. And now I don't feel guilty about it.
Right. And I think that translates very well in the professional life as well, where few employees would not be able to say no when some additional work is given to them. They would just take on whatever is given, thinking that, okay, it'll show a bad impression that I'm not proactive, I'm not being a team player. They just take on and on and on. And when it comes to delivering, they aren't able to because they have so much on their plate. And then when they are asked, again, you're in soup. So I think it would be better to put your foot down right at the start and say, I will not be able to take this up because I have a lot on my plate. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
have you come across such situations with coaching professionals?
Yes, I have. I have come across these things where people have come up and asked, like, how can I say no to my boss? So I always tell them one thing. You don't have to feel that saying no has to be harsh. It can be nice also. It can be kind also. So it's also the way you communicate that no. So maybe at that time, at this moment, my plate is full. I've got these 5 things that I'm already working on. So I think it would be nice if you could, help me prioritize. Tell me what is more important to you so that I can put the others in the backlog. So I think it's the way you communicate. There are colleagues who come up and tell you that they need some work from you and you don't want to say no. So you can tell them very nicely that today I won't be able to help, maybe next time I will be able to, and this is where you can find some help. Right? So it's the way you say no. Be take no as it's harsh, but no need not be harsh at all. You can
Right.
just give
And
them
as
that
you said,
solution.
giving a solution after
Yes,
saying that no can
yeah,
be helpful for both.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for both.
Right. Right. So tell me about words, right? Words can change our internal state and it can be at a deep and profound level. I heard this from you. So could you share any personal experience or maybe a success story from your clients who has experienced significant improvements in their life as a result of, integrating some positive affirmations in their daily routines?
Words are powerful, I would say. Words make you what you are, right? So when you say I can, you definitely can, and when you say you can't, you definitely can't, right? So words are very impactful, I would say. And many a times we use words very loosely, right? And very normally, and we take it as normal. I had this client of mine, Jennifer, and she came to me and she said that, you know, I am not good. She just started with this. She came to me for a discovery call and she started with this. I'm not good. I'm not good with relations. I'm having problems with my husband. I'm having problems with my kids. I'm having problems in the office. I am not. Now, what I made out from that was the negative talks. There was nothing positive that she was telling about herself, right? So she came up with that. And that time I realized how much words are impacting her. Okay. And she started saying that, I can't even do something very small, also very nice. So I asked her that, what do you mean by that? She said, I can't just I goof up things. I said, always? She said, she gave it a thought and said, no, sometimes. I said, of course, sometimes. So when are those times? So she said, then she started thinking and I told her to write it down. She wrote it down and the list was quite good, exhaustive, right? And I said, see, you're not looking at this part at all. Why are you just focusing on that? Why don't you instead focus? So I helped her reframe certain words that she was using in her day to day life, which really hampered her overall personality. And as a coach, my work is to really enhance the personalities of people where they are able to deal with themselves, the emotions, and the people around. And she started, I told her just one word at a time. Try to reframe one sentence that you've been using from a long time. She did that and she started applying that sentence every day. And believe me, in a month's time, she was a different person altogether with those affirmations, with those positive words. She felt so confident. She felt so nice. She got a great job for herself. She switched the old job, got a great job for herself. With her partner, they went for a second honeymoon. Okay. So
Wonderful.
things were so nice because she just changed a little of those words that she was using. Because those words were also impacting her perspective of looking at things.
Right.
Right? So sometimes we really need to change that perspective, those words, and they really help us change things around us.
Right. And this is if somebody is beating themselves up, they are looking at themselves very critically. But sometimes this happens that an individual starts looking at themselves a certain way because of societal pressure, because of people around them who keep nagging them or would, say negative things. And even if it is again just for a few instances, not always, they hear people and absorb it and consider that to be the entire truth. Yeah. So in such kind of situations, what do they do? What can they do? If they are just friends or say acquaintances, you can cut off from such negative people. But if it is family, if it is your spouse, you have to spend the rest of your life with them. How do they deal with this kind of a situation when it's coming externally and you are trying to push it away? You are doing self affirmations for yourself, but from external sources, it keeps coming back to you.
Right. A very valid question, Jennifer. I really love this question because this is what happens with all of us, right? Because there are external forces that surely keep on coming. So it's not about just affirmations. It's about bringing that change within us also. See, it's about, whenever somebody is communicating, we give it a meaning, right? Our brain validates the information, takes down the data, gives meaning, gives labels to it. So it's not the other person, but actually we are giving the meaning. Now, Jennifer, suddenly you start talking in Spanish. You are talking that Reshma, you are just good for nothing, you're not good, and whatever you're saying in Spanish. Will I understand it? I'll still be smiling. Why? Because I am not giving any meaning to those words, right? Because I am not giving that label to myself. So many a times what we do is external people give us certain labels and we accept them. What if we just close the door? We don't accept them. It won't impact us in any way.
Right.
Right? So it's okay that they are giving, but you don't give meaning to it at all at your end. I'll tell you, Jennifer, it happened to me. Right? So it happened to me too. There were people who were giving me those labels and I would take it with open arms, and then get into that loop. I learned to create that wall where I would not take your label because I know things about myself. I'm not going to accept it. There is a difference between a feedback, maybe that I would accept, but labels I would not accept. So if you tell me I'm a good for nothing, oh, you are a good for nothing, my boss tells me that you don't do work properly, I'll just look at myself, calibrate it, see whether I am really, what are the instances, and accordingly take a feedback, but not the label. Right? We go to a shop, the salesperson comes and she or he tells us that, you can buy this, you can buy that, and this is good, this is that. But do you buy all? No. You only buy what you want. So why not? There are people who are going to say good, bad, and ugly. But just take what you want.
Right.
That will change your life, transform you for the better, help you be that better version. If it's not going to help you, it's not serving the purpose, don't accept it.
So basically, we learn to build those walls or pull a veil in front to filter out what we want coming through. And how about, if this is just stopping something coming through, but how do we change that equation with the person, with your friend, with your spouse, with your boss, so that that stops coming, or you want to just improve things? So how does a person do that then?
It's about dealing with people like that. You will always have people like that in your life. Okay. And I've seen that, people, you get a pattern until and unless you don't learn, there is a pattern, that comes back and forth. You will either get your partner who is toxic, maybe who is troubling you. You may get a boss who's similar kind. You may get a friend, right? Unless and until you learn the lesson, learn to deal with them, you will not. I think setting boundaries, Jennifer, is very important there. Okay? Setting boundaries, this is only what you can take. And this is not, you'll not accept it. You need to be very forthright in telling people and giving those gestures. See, if there is a toxic person, Jennifer, the person will thrive when you cry, when you are hurt, when you are sad because of what he or she said.
Mm.
Now, what if you don't give that person a pleasure? The person will get bored,
Right.
right? Because that person wants that banter, is
Hmm.
thriving on that. And you just cut that there. You cut the cord there. When the person starts understanding, you really find it easier to manage the person. And also communicating in a way that will help. People get scared. Okay, how can I really tell the person, that I'm troubled by you?
Hmm.
And people land up saying that you are the one who's troubling me, and then the conflict increases and doubles and doubles. So communicating in a way where you say that use I statements rather than you statements. That will help. Okay. And communication is key, not confrontation. We get into confrontation with people like that. And it's not about just throwing them out. Every person, Jennifer, I believe I have done that. Every person, I do this assessment. Okay. Who are the ones in my inner circle? Who are the ones in my outer circle? Who are the one in my most outer circle? And I know what matters to me, the inner circle. Okay. And if the person in my inner circle is not what I want from, I need to communicate it well. The others I will manage, but the inner circle is the major problem. Like you said, you need to connect with the person every day, right? So you need to assess and actually see each and every person, how you can bring about a change in them, deal with them. It's about that communication to deal with those people.
Wonderful points, Reshma. Let's talk about gratitude now. I know you incorporate gratitude in your coaching sessions. What role does gratitude play in conjunction with positive affirmations?
I would say I would give my entire, what I'm doing to gratitude. Right? Because gratitude has brought about so much change in me. Grateful for everything. Grateful for now the time that we are sitting here. Grateful for everything. I think gratitude brings about every positive chemical in our body. Every positive chemical in our body. The dose. You get the dose from gratitude. It's that form which really changes your perspective. If I have an accident, I had a big problem, okay, and suddenly I had an accident and my legs had hurt, and I was in a bad space. And at that moment also, what I felt, the gratitude was so much inbuilt in me that I felt, thank God, it was only this much. It didn't get into a serious problem. So I'm grateful to the universe that at least it was this much. And things changed. The way I was looking at the problem changed. Right? We all have issues in our life. We all say that we have problems, and some people say, why me? Why we keep on having problems, But I think just one gratitude, thing about gratitude is it will change that perspective of that problem, that issue also. Because there are many more who have worse problems. They are in worse situation. At least you are better and not in those kind of situations. It's wearing a lens of gratitude, Jennifer, I would say. It's wearing that lens that will change everything. I have a bad boss. I have a bad boss. I have a toxic boss. But I'm grateful I have such lovely colleagues, such lovely family who are supporting me go through what I'm going through. I have a good job in terms of, even the boss is bad, but I have a good position. I'm getting good finances from there. Seeing the grass is greener rather than the hay. That's what I would say.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So it's about that. I say the grass is green, or you say that it's hay, it will change. When you say green, you feel the coolness, you feel the calmness. Where you say it's hay, you feel, oh, something pokey, something sticky, it changes the perspective. So gratitude is that, I think, it's that sense I think everybody needs to inculcate. It takes you to a different level. And when you're being grateful about everything, you're also attracting things to be more grateful about.
Right.
It's multiplying.
Right. It's like the things you see or you observe, you continue to see more of those things. If
Yes.
we start identifying the negatives in our life, we continue to keep seeing those things. We stop being observant and mindful of all the other good things, as you said, which is already around us. So
Yeah.
gratitude really helps in that way. So
Yeah.
that's a wonderful message to change the perspective of how we see things. Okay,
Right.
so in your experience, have you noticed any common misconceptions or maybe pitfalls that people encounter when they practice positive affirmations, and how can they overcome it?
There are many, many. When I have told them, they've come back to me and said that I have worked on affirmations. It's not working. I have done that. It doesn't work. So I think it's your approach to affirmations, right? You must have noticed. I remember. I will tell you. I was in one of the trainings, okay, and that training was an amazing training for women. And there were these planks, okay, big, huge planks. And what we had to do was break those planks. And we all were not karate masters or MMA masters, right? We were just young women and in the training. And the first time we were asked to do, everybody was very scared. Like, pata nahi tootega plank, nahi tootega, those kind of thoughts were there in their mind. And things didn't happen. There was one girl who just was able to do that. And we asked her, what happened? How were you able to do that? We were not able to do that. So she said, I don't know. I just looked at it and I said, I'm going to break it. I visualized me breaking it. I visualized you all clapping for me. I literally, in that moment, visualized everything that's going to happen. And I just went ahead and did it. And it happened. So we said, okay, now let's try. Okay. Young girls, we were all like, okay, let's try. Second time when we went and we did the same thing, and we were all able to break that plank. So it's about making your brain realize that you can. Sometimes words and brain is not aligned, right? So then things won't happen. So it has to be that your entire nervous system has to align with that affirmation. I may say, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, but it's just words. It's not coming with feelings. It's not coming with those emotions. My entire body is not thinking the same. There is one part of my brain saying, not good, not good. Right? So affirmations will not work unless and until you entirely are aligned. You are one with that affirmation.
Right. It's
Only
like
then.
praying for a miracle, right? If you
Right.
till you believe that that would happen, it will not happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you guide your clients in effectively using this visualization as a tool to
Yeah.
achieve their goals? Are there any specific exercises or methods that you give them that works effectively? And I'm asking this specifically for those who find it difficult to visualize.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, there are specific techniques. There are certain things that we need to do. So, I take them through exercises that are visualization exercises to teach them how to visualize. We feel it's very easy, but it's not, right? So, to come to that level where you are aligned, it takes time. So, we need to do those exercises regularly to be able to come to that level. So, I do those techniques with them, small techniques to bigger techniques, and that helps them. So, there are some techniques that I use for my clients where they are able to visualize better and make things happen. Yeah.
And what does it mean to find a purpose in life? If somebody has found a purpose in their life, they know where they need to go, they move forward with it, and say after a month or after a year, they find something else. So does it mean their previous purpose, what they found, was actually not their purpose in life?
Very interesting question, Jennifer. Lovely. Very interesting. I would say, who says that there has to be one purpose? That's the question I'm asking. Simple. Who says there has to be just one purpose? I have many. I have many purposes that I need to fulfill. And those purposes are very much aligned with what I want and the actions I'm taking. Right? So purpose is very important for every person, for every person to know the why. Why am I doing this? Because that why will motivate. Then you don't need anybody else. You'll motivate yourself to do things. Today, your why is clear, Jennifer. That's why today you are sitting there to follow that purpose of yours, right? So that why will change not only you, but many. With that just one why, when you get that answer for that why, you're not only transforming yourself, but many more. And life is easier, right? Because you are taking steps towards that purpose, towards that goal that will help in your purpose too. And the most important thing, Jennifer, is that satisfaction, that contentment. I'm sure after every interview that you take, it's so satisfying, right?
Yes.
You feel on top of the world, right? And every one of us needs to have that feeling. It is one of the needs. Everybody has, I'm sure, seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's one of the needs where you feel satisfied. You feel that you are doing something really good, useful. And purpose does not mean that it has to be only the contributions. It can also be something in your office. You need to have a purpose in your office also. You can also align what your inner purpose is with your career purpose. It's just about seeing things in a different way. How can you bring about that change? How can you bring about that alignment?
So I think it would be right to say that purpose of life is not a destination. It's more like a journey. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And everybody has a purpose, if not purposes. Nobody can say, I don't know what I'm here on earth to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as they move forward in their life, they meet so many people, they come across so many situations, they evolve with the situations and experiences that they go through, and that brings about another purpose for them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely well put. Very nice.
All right. So let me ask you something about self healing. What is self healing, and what are some of the techniques we can use to self heal?
Okay. So self healing again is a journey. It is not like you take a medicine, the painkiller, and the pain goes. No, it doesn't. You have to work on yourself. For self healing, you need to start with accepting that you are hurt. You need to heal. The journey only starts with that acceptance. Sometimes the healing journey is very turbulent. Like if there is a glass of water, okay, which there is quite a lot of mud in that bottom of that glass, and you pour the water. Sometime the water will be dirty. The entire water, even if you're pouring good water, clean water, even then it will be all murky, muddy, right? But as you go on and on and on putting, and that entire water is spilling, 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 then there'll be a time when that glass is left with clear water. That's what healing is all about. That's what self-healing is. Starting, you'll feel this is so dirty, I don't want to now do anything about it. Because what is there at the bottom is all going to come up. It's going to be painful. It's not going to be easy. Because you will encounter so many things, not only about the other person who has caused it, but even about yourself. Are you ready for it? That is important in self-healing. You need to be ready for it, to see that side of yours which you would not want to see.
Right. Seeing it and then accepting it and then doing something about it.
Yes, yes. That's it. That's the whole journey. And then when self-healing you're talking about, there are many techniques that you can start healing yourself with. How you do it, what it depends on the issue that you're facing, that you want to heal, the problem, or the magnitude of the problem. Okay, depending on that. So, it is not just that one magic wand which will work for all. It won't. Right? So according to the problem, we as coaches, as a coach, I focus on that. So I see a person who is very angry. Just a small example, okay? Facing anger issues and wants to heal from that anger, and that anger is somewhere in the childhood where somebody said something or whatever. Now, to heal that, one way is maybe, you write a letter to that person. Okay. You don't need to go and talk to the person. Write a letter to that person and just try to. But it's not that after writing one letter, you're going to heal. It's not going to happen. Sorry. That's the fact. That's the truth. Right? You will have to also identify the innermost issues that are wrapped under that issue. Right? So you may need different techniques more to deal with that. Maybe healing, Reiki healing might help you, right? That is one other technique that can help you. So it depends on the problem. So it is not one stop solution. Not one answer to all the problems, but there'll be different answers and then different ways of dealing with it. It's not just one. You'll have to also add other techniques for the person to be able to heal thoroughly.
Right. And you mentioned about writing the letter. Just for the audience who do not know, I've been on one of your sessions. So I know that when we say writing a letter, it doesn't mean we write the letter and post it to the person. It's a healing therapy where it is like journaling, where we put down all that has happened, all that we are feeling. So it's just getting it out there. So I think that's what it means when we're writing those letters, right?
Right. Absolutely right.
All right. So, Reshma, I'm going to take a quick pause here and we're going to have an off guard question, something fun, after which we will dive deep into some personal questions, introspecting you and your life more closely. So, I'm going to give you a few numbers that you need to pick from. Let's take 10 to 15. If you could pick a number, I'll ask you the fun question.
Okay, so 10 to 15, 13.
All right. So, the question I have for you, if you could only listen to one genre of music for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Okay, it would be flute,
Mm.
instrumental. I love that. If it's for the entire life, I would love it. I can hear it. I can hear it forever. Yeah.
All right. And how did you build this liking for flute? Where did it come from?
I come from a background, like my family is a very musical family. We had all the instruments at home because all my uncles and everybody played and sang. So I come from a very musical family from my mom's side, and I've seen it there, and I just fell in love with it calmed me so much, and it took me to another level, and that's what I love about flute. It takes you to another level.
Wonderful. I know it's so calming and peaceful. It's like a serene thing, takes you into a different world altogether, right?
Right, right.
All right. Okay, let's move on to our next segment. We'll have some deep conversations with you.
Mhm.
So, Reshma, I know that you have a very positive outlook to life. We just spoke about you believing in perception and that you would be able to make something out of anything. So, I know that there was a time in your life when you had to live in difficult living conditions. You took whatever life threw at you. Would you like to tell us a little more about this difficult time and did you already have a positive mindset that helped you endure through this situation? Or did you grow this positive mindset after going through this humbling situation?
Very interesting question. It's a very interesting question because, yes, many a times life throws you at ends and you need to manage yourself and come back to the center, right? Regroup yourself. And that I learned from my childhood. I have gone through difficult situations with my family, and there was a time where things were not good at all. You know, coming from best places and suddenly being thrown into deep sea. That was what I went through as a child. And at that moment, what I faced, I saw matured me. That really matured me. So I would say that situation matured me and I started seeing things differently, right? And I started seeing that, okay, okay, whatever's happened, happened, but I need to be there for my family, be a support system for them, you know? At least I won't trouble my mom. I'll be there by her side when she needs me, right? So I learned in that situation to keep my problems aside and focus on the future, not see the past. It was not as if I was not hurt. I was not tormented by that, right? What I was seeing. But even then, somehow I just knew it. I think it was my survival instinct, I would say, at that point of time. I felt this is how I need to deal with it. And I started just focusing on the positives, focusing on what is there, what I have, and move on in life.
Right. I think after facing a lot, some people would cry, vent out, whatever it be, feel helpless. But after a certain time, your tears dry. After a certain time, you're like, enough is enough. Now I need to just see where to move from here. And
Yeah,
that's what I think you learned at a very young age. Pull yourself together and said, keep this aside and let's just see what can be done, what I can do. So that's quite inspiring. They say, they say think positive, focus on the good. So as you think positive, you are going to attract positivity, you are going to attract goodness. But at the same time, one must be prepared to face challenges in life, right? So how does one prepare themselves to face any challenging situation in life?
there was this one, in the school we used to write quotes,
Mhm.
and one quote always took my fancy, and I just loved it. It was think for the best and be prepared for the worst. And that is something I really imbibed in my life from that quote. And that's what is important, that you think for the best, but there are going to be challenges. There are going to be obstacles that you will face in life. Life cannot be smooth, right? There are going to be bumps. There are going to be stops that you are going to get, challenged. How to deal with the challenge is that resilience part that you need to learn. So staying positive helps you build that resilience. That when things will go wrong, when they go south, even then you'll be able to manage them because of that positive attitude. So, one thing that takes you from the storms is your attitude,
Right.
right? So, that is something I believe very strongly, Jennifer.
Yeah. And I think what I learned from this is we can't really prepare ourselves for a particular situation, but we can prepare to make ourselves stronger mentally so that whatever comes our way, we can, face that. And I think sometimes we have to wait for that situation to occur to see how much strength we have and what we can do. Till that situation happens, we will not know how strong or how weak we are.
Absolutely, absolutely right, because those situations come to, for you to really find that bandwidth of yours, to that strength of yours, where you either break or make, right? And once you've passed that threshold, it's all about making, right? So prepare yourself for that. Even if you're stretched, after that stretch there is going to be a turn and things are going to be right, and I'll wait for that turn to come.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now let us talk a little about limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs, these are thoughts or ideas that hold us back from achieving our goals. Sometimes these could, be deeply rooted in one's subconscious mind. And, they can be formed through maybe past experiences or, as you had mentioned earlier, some negative self-talk or even societal expectations. Now, we may not even realize, but these will just show up in our actions, or if you could say non-action. So when and how did you realize about maybe some limiting belief that you had, and how did you overcome them?
Limiting beliefs, like you said, we all have at some point or the other. We are having those limiting beliefs that have stopped us in our growth, success, in whatever we want. And I realized them when I also had a coach. Coaches are like, like help you see things that you probably have not been seeing things. And my coach made me see my limiting beliefs. I had limiting beliefs about money, and that belief was becoming a blockage, right? I had limiting beliefs about many other things, and I realized it through my coach. And once I realized it, I said, oh my God, this was the one which was stopping me, right? And when I went back, and it's also important to find the source of that belief. Because if you want to heal, you need to find the source. From where did it come? Why did it come? Right? And now, what can you do to change it? So find a positive, positive anecdotes, positive stories where people have really been able to use that, limit through that belief that you are having, which is limiting you. They have actually used it for their betterment. So you need to find that balance of both and see, and then go ahead. And I've been able to do that. I had a big blockage. Okay. And I was able to come out of it then, and things changed. Believe me, Jennifer, things changed. Once I identified that belief, worked on that belief, and reframed it, things completely changed for me. And now, for me, money is the most important thing. Where I used to always tell myself, money is not important because it will spoil relations, it will spoil things. And now I know, no, money can be very helpful. I can do a lot more with the money I have because I am a kind of a person who wants to really create that impact. So with that money, maybe I can do many projects. I can really reach out to many people, guide them, support them. I don't know what not. So I've been able to, and I've seen once I shifted, that is a complete shift, and things changed for me.
Right.
Avenues opened up for me.
And is it that people have to have a coach to identify these limiting beliefs, or can people self introspect and identify these limiting beliefs and deep dive and say, okay, yeah, this is what it is? And can they work towards it on their own? Is it possible?
It is possible. Like I always say, nothing is impossible. Even the word impossible says I am possible, right? So nothing is impossible. It is possible. But the only thing I would say is when you have a coach, you do it in a very different way. When you are doing it on your own, it takes a long time till you reach there. The journey becomes easier with a coach because the coach has gone through, changed her or his life, and is changing others' life as well. So there are a lot of techniques, strategies there with that person who can help, right? So when you are doing it on your own, it's not that you can't do it. You can definitely do it. It will take a little longer to identify things, to get there. And it is a journey where solo will not be that interesting. But if you have someone who's accountable, who's there to listen to you, hear you out, it makes a difference, a whole lot of difference.
Right. It's sooner and I think more easier because the first
Yes.
thing is you're dealing with limiting beliefs. That itself is like you're caged up. So
Yes.
trying to push against your thoughts trying to push yourself against those kind of beliefs in itself is a challenge. So having an outside perspective, somebody telling you how to go about it, or just holding your hand along the way as you go, I'm sure it's quite easier that way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. What's the one piece of advice or wisdom that you wish you had known earlier in your journey as a holistic life coach?
Okay, one piece of wisdom, only one. Okay.
I'm
So,
sure you have a ton of them.
yeah. So I think one piece of wisdom which I feel that I it would have been good that I would have known better, like earlier, is
Yeah.
that life is not a bed of roses. There are challenges that come. Okay. It's only the way you look at things will help you move through those challenges and find yourself. I think this is something I feel very important for anybody and everybody. And if I knew this earlier, my life would have been very different.
Right. So, as we near the end of our conversation, is there any final message or a takeaway that you'd like to share with our listeners today, particularly those who are seeking to achieve greater harmony and fulfillment in their lives?
The only thing I would like to say, a message that I would like to give is start with loving yourself, accepting who you are, and you will see things will really move in the direction. You will really get people, you will meet people who are there to support you. Just that openness is required, and keep being open to receive whatever is being given by the universe.
Wonderful. This was such an enlightening conversation, Dr. Reshma. I just loved everything that we discussed today. Thank you so much for sharing all that wisdom, all that knowledge, and all the tons of experience that you're bringing along with you. Thank you for being on my podcast, Reshma.